Man, I don't know what I'd do if every day wasn't range day. Hey everybody, it's Trevor here with the channel where every day is range day, and in this week's video we're going to be taking a look at what might be the best 15 or 20 bucks you spend on your Glock, and that's this factory Magwell right here. So let's check it out. And as usual guys, getting into it, this gun here is cleared and safe for handling. And also we're not sponsored by any of the companies that I'm going to be talking about in the video today, where I got this Magwell from. Glock, of course, we're not sponsored by them, but hey, if you want to. But getting into it, we're going to be talking about the factory Magwell from Glock that I just found out about not too long ago. Apparently this Magwell was released back in 2020 and kind of flew under a lot of people's radar, myself included. Uncle Ray had it at our last range day, and that was the first time I'd ever seen or heard of it. I've been maybe looking for a Magwell for some of my Glocks for the past little bit, and I didn't really want to spend upwards of like $100 or something like that on something that's aluminum, precision machine, bolt on and all that. So I figured I'd try this OEM one right here. Yes, it is an OEM part from Glock, and I got it from Bowtac.com for about 15 bucks, so maybe we'll call it $20 out the door for shipping unless you bundle it with a bigger purchase. And that right there is definitely cheap enough for me to try out, and you definitely got to keep in mind that $15 to $20 price tag when we're talking about this Magwell, and maybe when you're thinking about it compared to some of the higher dollar offerings out there. Getting into the product itself, it is a polymer Magwell from Glock, as you can see right here, so it will match the polymer frames from all your OEM Glocks and things like that. And it is designed to only fit on your OEM Gen 5 frames, namely that fit the Glock 17 size. So that's the 17, the 34 that I have here, and the 45. It's not listed on the website as fitting the 19X, but I believe that has the Glock 17 length grip there, so that would make me think it fits that as well. It does not specifically say that it fits something like the Glock 19 here, but we'll take a look at that fitment here in a minute if that's something what you're thinking about. And coming in at a whopping $15, you do kind of get what you pay for, but I think it's a pretty good value for your money. It is a pretty simple part, and I'm not going to go into the installation too much, but we'll take a top-down view of the part at a second. But it's pretty easy to slide and snap on your Glock frame here. On the Gen 5s, it kind of snaps into the little hole here on the back of the frame, and it's just a pretty simple Magwell like you can see right here. Extra ramp area for reloading your magazines, and as you can see right here, there's no issues with it impeding or ripping a mag or causing it to not drop freely. And well, it does exactly what it's supposed to do for about 15 bucks. And for that, you can't really go wrong, at least in my eyes. I've been looking for a Magwell in the past, and I'd seen some options from, Dawson Precision or Terran Tactical, whatever, you name it, Zev, they have one too. And they're all probably much nicer parts than this, but they're also, 4 to 5 times as expensive, maybe even more than that. So that's something to keep in mind when we're talking about this going forward. And at this point, let's switch to the top-down view to get a closer look at the product in general, go through my first impressions on its fitment, overall utility with the magazines and things like that, so you have a better idea of what you could expect if you were to pick one up for yourself. Let's check that out. Alright guys, so here we have it, looking at this Magwell from a bit of a top-down view, a little closer up. It is a pretty simple part that you can see I have removed it from the Glock 34 here, so we can take just a closer look at what you actually get. And it's a pretty simple piece. It's all one solid piece, no moving parts, no bolts or screws or anything like that, just one polymer piece that does match your OEM Glock frames pretty much identically there. It is an OEM part, same polymer, perfect match. I'm not going to show you how to install it just because YouTube's not going to like that, but it is very, very simple, super quick. You can do it inside 10 seconds and you don't need any tools. This piece right here just sort of hugs the bottom of your frame there where the existing Magwell is, and you'll notice that a lot of these have this little hole here on the back of the grip, and this little slot right here kind of goes right down in there and snaps into place. It'll work with back straps and everything like that, even with your Talon grips that you might have on there, although I'd probably recommend trimming this to fit it, but it'll still work. But this is indeed what you get with this Magwell. Just a little bit of flaring that you can see right there. It's actually a pretty decent amount for what you get. Pretty simple part, little springy piece just kind of slides on and rocks up into place. So I'll go and throw it back on the G34 here so we can see how it fits. And here we have it on the Glock 34. You can see it does fit over my Talon grips material here. I'd probably trim it if I was changing these grips out and planning to keep this on here for that, just so it would fit a little bit better, but it fits just fine. No interference due to the Talon grips for the mag drop or anything like that. It fits in there perfectly, no interference or fitment issues. Again, it's OEM part, fits just like one should. Taking a closer look at the back here, you can see it just lines up and kind of hugs the existing flares that are in this mag already. And something that some people might like is it does plug this kind of opening that's in the back of all these Gen 5 grips that are right here. Some people see this as a bit of an opportunity for a hang up. You can plug weighted inserts or something like that in there too to help get rid of that. But this Magwell covers it for you with this little piece right here, and then that springy bit slides right in the back there and slots into this hole on the back of the grip. Nothing to it, it's just kind of a pushing, a rocking motion to get in there. You kind of have to push it a little hard to get it to snap in place, but once you get it right in that little track in between this little tab and that little tab right there, it should push down right into place. Now, something I should note is it does cover this little half moon piece right here on the front of it, so it could be a little harder to actually get in there and strip a mag out if it were to get hung up or something like that. I've done just dry fire with this at this point, haven't taken it to the range, but I haven't had any issues with this causing a mag to get stuck or anything, so I'm not really worried about it. But I know that's a feature that some people really like on the Gen 5s, is when you do have a magazine in here, if it were to get hung up, you can grab your finger in this little half moon and really rip that sucker out of there. You do cover that up with this Magwell, but I'm pretty sure most of the other Magwells on the market have a similar feature right here, just because you're getting more feed ramp. That's sort of the trade-off, but definitely something to be considered. Now, in terms of fitment, it does fit the Gen 5 frames only, and it's marketed for the 17, 34, that sort of full-size frame. I think that includes the Glock 45 as well. And you might ask, well, hey, the Glock 34 and the Glock 19 can both take the same size mag, a little regular one there, and then this is the 17 side just right here. Fits both fine. Why would it only fit this gun and not the Glock 19 here? And I can show you a little bit about why that might be the case. Basically, it relies to this angle here with relation to the rest of the grip. And I'll take the Magwell off the Glock 34 again, and we'll take a closer look at what we're talking about there, and then I'll show you something else. We have this back off again. Again, you only need one tool to get this out of here. They specify a roll pin punch or something like that to pop this back out of the frame. I just had an Allen key laying around that more or less fits exactly what I need, and that's the only tool you'll need to take this out of here. Again, a little tough to push it out of here just because this is a little bit of a stiff piece. That's all there is to it. But looking back at why this particular piece is only marketed towards the full-size frames and not the Glock 19 here, even though they take the same mags, this is sort of the difference that we're talking about, is this angle of the Magwell with relation to the rest of the grip. The Glock 17 size frame is actually just a teeny bit flatter, whereas the Glock 19 kind of angles this way just a teensy bit more. From the top side here, they do take the same mag, so you're not really going to notice any difference. But if I line the slides up, you can see that difference there is what I'm talking about. If I hold the slides level, this is a lot flatter, or more level, I guess, per the slide, whereas the Glock 19 Magwell you can see is angled just ever so slightly more at that ramp, which would probably cause the Magwell attachment to be cocked a little bit, but I couldn't really see any other major differences. But this is likely the reason that we're staring at right here, why this is not marketed to the Glock 19 as well. A little bit different geometry, so the fit's gonna be a little bit different, but let's throw it on here and test it out anyways. And here we have it snapped onto the Glock 19 here. Again, this is not the advertised use for this, so I'm not really sure if I can recommend it, but I'll share this information with you for you to do what you will with. Again, it installs in much the same way. A little bit tougher to push this piece back on here to snap into the hole, but you can see from the back side here, it grabs the flares on the existing Magwell and snaps into there pretty dead on. Fits the side right here. You can see there's a little bit of a gap right there, maybe due to that angle disparity, but from the bottom side, it fits up pretty much like it did on the Glock 34 or the full-size frame. Covers that half moon just the same, fills this gap almost identically as far as I can tell right here. And it looks like it fits just fine. I kind of like it on this Glock 19 here, because without it, my pinky kind of hangs off just a little bit. But this kind of wraps it up and kind of gives me just a little bit of ledge for it, and I like that for it. Looking at it, just compared to the other one visually, it does rock the tip of this Magwell just slightly up in this direction. That's likely due to this grip angle change, but it does fit on there. Magazine goes in just fine and comes out just like the other one. This size does too, and I almost would recommend using the bigger ones on here, so you could strip this out if you need to, especially if you're in like a competition gun or maybe a carry. If you have extended mags, that works pretty much on its own just for having them. But even though this isn't advertised to fit the Gen 5 Glock 19. It does look, well, not too bad if you ask me. Mags go in, they fall right out. A lot of people usually have a flick or something. Comes out just as easy there, and I haven't had it cause me any hang-ups or issues on the Glock 19 frame as well. I've carried it a little bit in this configuration, and not gonna lie, I actually bought it for this gun to start. I did think it was weird that it was advertised to not fit this one in particular. And you'll notice if you buy a lot of other aftermarket Magwells as well, that same model discrepancy is different. Usually the Glock 19 Magwells will be marketed or sold as a separate item compared to the full-size frame offering, largely due to this geometry difference relative to the rest of the gun. But for 15 bucks, it does look like it fits quite well, works just fine, mags drop free, so I'm not gonna tell you to use it on here, but it looks like it works, so do with that what you will. And if you ask me, for $15 or $20, you can't really find something, at least in my eyes, that's that much better than this little Magwell here. It's a factory part, does exactly what it needs to do, gives you quite a good bit of feed area here, and it's not complicated to install, remove, or switch around. It takes all of 10 seconds to do either one. Definitely gonna get faster reloads here. For me personally, in my own hand and how I fit on the Glock grip right here, this little bit of ramp right there, I actually really like with my pinky. Without it on there, there's a little bit of gap where it kind of just sits over this half moon. I kind of feel like I'm piling this finger up on my ring finger just a little. That little added lip right there is perfect for me, so I actually kind of like it on the Glock 19 here. Of course, it does work beautifully on the 34 that we've seen in the past, so anything that's a 17, 34, even the 45 could also be a really good option for these double stack 9mm pistols. But overall, my first impressions for this Magwell are pretty strong. Can't beat the price at 15 bucks off a bow tax, what I found it. Fits the guns just like they should, super easy to install, functions as it should, mags drop free, extra bit of feed ramp there, and that's really all I'm looking for in a Magwell. Sure, a precision aluminum piece that screws in the back and is super sturdy on here probably beats it out in terms of performance and longevity, but you're paying probably 90, 100 bucks at that point for a piece like that. For 15 bucks, can't really go wrong with this. The only con I could potentially notice is that because it's only kind of snapped here in the back, you can just get a very small bit of rocking that you can see here. This isn't the frame it's designed for, but you can observe sort of the same phenomenon on the full-size frame here also. Just a teeny bit of I don't know, a little bit of wiggle that you can see here. Again, it's not screwed in place and it just kind of snaps into that hole there. So it's not the most robust attachment system perhaps, but it is super easy to install. And I mean, it's definitely not going anywhere as if you're just kind of carrying it and using it. You could probably rip it off of here with enough force if you really want to. So that's just something to be aware of, just a teeny bit of wiggle. But other than that, it's a super solid product for only 15 bucks. OEM Glock, fits great, works great. Happy to have picked it up. All right, guys, that looks like it's gonna about do it for the video this week on the OEM Magwell from Glock that's fitted on my G34 here. As we discussed, it's a pretty simple part. It just kind of rolls on here and snaps on, and for 15 bucks, in my eyes, you can't really beat it if you're just looking for a Magwell to slap onto your gun for not a whole lot of money. Sure, you can get better parts out there, but they're gonna be a whole lot more money, and they all really do the same thing. Wider ramp area there to help assist with reloads, and that's about it. Sure, you can get some that have a much more aggressive flare, add a bit more weight to the bottom of your gun if you're into something like that. But if you're just looking to grab something quick and cheap to put on here you go. It's an OEM part from Glock, matches the finish perfectly, fits just fine up to their Gen 5 frames, and does exactly what it's supposed to do as a Magwell. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like down below, and if you think this might be the best $15 or $20 you could spend on your Glock right off the bat, let us know down below in the comments. If you have something else you suggest, leave it down below. We'll check it out, might do some more videos on it. And as always, make sure to subscribe to the channel, where every day is range day. Thanks for watching, guys.
Shooter ready. Yeah.